Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. There we go. Sorry. Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and my apologies to those of you who are watching this as a Google Hangout or will watch it later on YouTube. Blog Talk Radio had an awkward start to the show. I thought it was recording, it wasn't, and excuse the miss at the beginning of the video. This is a time where I like to spend about 15 minutes speaking with you about some element of staffing, because I believe that many of you have systems in place and processes in place and behaviors in place that are making it a lot more difficult to find staff than is really needed. So, from my vantage point as a professional recruiter, I taught 40 plus years in the search space. A few hundred videos, I think it's over 700 now on YouTube, about staffing or job hunting. I've been at this for a long time. Although my website says over 493,000 resumes evaluated, I know it's much more than that, but that's all I could document at the time. So, I want to help make this process easier for you as an HR professional, you as a hiring manager, you as a small business owner, to bring on the people that you want and need. So today's show has two sponsors. The first one is Audible. If you go to audibletrial.com/the Big Game Hunter, sign up for a trial of Audible. And if you do, you can download a free audiobook as part of the sign up. So again, that's audibletrial.com/the Big Game Hunter. And I know you like audio. You listen to my podcast, right? The second site is consultingassignments.com. Consultingassignments.com is a site where you can find and fill consulting assignments, full-time consulting positions, temp to perm, and contract to hire opportunities anywhere in the world completely free. Posting a job or a resume is free. Searching jobs and resumes is also free, as is the ability to contact one another. The only thing this site charges for is if you want to feature a job or feature a resume. It is a whopping $10 for 30 days. If you're going to feature more than one position, well, the price goes down to, I think it's as little as $2 for 45 days. So that site again is consultingassignments.com. Now, I thought I would play around with the notion of that old song, That Love and Feeling, that is sung by the Righteous Brothers and has appeared in so many movies, about the loss of love. Now, I'm not going to sing for you. I'm going to spare you being agonized by my voice, although people do tell me I've got a nice voice, but not my son. My son hates my voice. But when you think about the hiring process, things have changed over the course of this recession. Now, I remember a number of different boom times when corporations conducted themselves in a way where they were aggressively trying to woo people. Hiring managers, had great energy with people they were interviewing with. They spent a lot of time with them. Even if they interviewed them on multiple occasions, there was a process of trying to sell this person on joining. Why? Because at the end of the day, even if you didn't hire them, you wanted them to leave the interview with that feeling of, man, I hope I get this job. And if I don't, I'm going to be really disappointed. And talk about your firm and how they were so impressed with your organization. And the job was fabulous. So that this way, when it came time to extending an offer, it was going to be easy to get them to say yes, assuming the money was right. If they were turned down, you wanted them out there as like a mobile sales force for you. And I remember years ago, I had this one consulting client that was trying to interview a bunch of very similarly typed people. And they interviewed almost anyone. Because their feeling was, at the end of the day, they were great salespeople for their organization. And they figured that even folks turned down are going to go out there and talk about the firm, talk about the opportunity, how much they hope to get this job, et cetera, et cetera. And even if disappointed that they didn't get the job, it's like, oh man, I talked to this guy so-and-so from such and such firm. He's got a great opportunity, and the firm seems so hot to work for. Man, I want to be involved with that organization. So what's going on now? Answer, folks have gotten lazy. Just as the market is starting to take off again, you folks are still in the, well, if they take it, fine. If they don't take it, fine either. Let me help you out here for a second. How many times do you want to interview people? Really, how many unnecessary people do you want to interview? I'm talking about making the best out of a bad situation by sending them out into the public with a good feeling about your organization. But if you're going to be casual and blasé about it, if you're going to act like you don't give a darn whether they join or not, well, frankly, they're not going to want to join because everyone wants to be romanced. Hey, think about it from a dating situation. You're out on a date with a guy or a girl, and you're having a decent time, but you act in a way that's cool. You act in a way that suggests that I'm not sure if I'm interested. What's the message that the other person gets? Well, don't get too excited about the idea of being involved with this person, because they're not really into me all that much. So from the job hunter perspective, one of the things that causes a job hunter to be excited is if they think that you're excited about them. Just like in dating, imagine an HR interview is like a blind date where I said I was going to be there to introduce the two of you, but I call a few minutes before to say I can't be there. Why don't the two of you get started? So if you're in HR, I know you've got an enormous workload. And you know what? So do I. And I always try to make each call sound fresh. I'm not always successful, but what I try to do is get each job hunter excited about the opportunity I'm recruiting for. So that this way, when it comes time to scheduling, they're excited about going to meet my client. If you're in HR, if you're a hiring manager, let me start with HR here for a second. If you're in HR, one of the great insults that job hunters have about you is that you acted like a clerk, that you acted in an official and officious capacity to make it just dull and methodical for them to talk with you. And if you're a hiring manager, if you seem cool and aloof, well, how excited do you think they're going to be about you, about working for you, about doing what you want to do? And yes, I know you could be talking about the most exciting work on the planet, which is unlikely, of course. Most of you have pretty mundane jobs that you're trying to staff. But let's say this is the most exciting job on the planet, and you're conducting yourself in a way that's kind of blasé and casual, that doesn't sound real interested until you are. That first impression of being cool and aloof is going to be, leave them with a feeling that you're kind of standoffish and isn't going to get them excited about you and your job. Now, I want you to think about what you can be doing in every interview you conduct to send the job hunter out of your office with the feeling that this is a great opportunity, that you're a terrific person to work for, that your firm is one that recognizes talent, promotes it, rewards it, advances it throughout the organization, so that this way people don't feel as though they're just going to be accepting a job. A job, another lousy, boring job, even if it is one of those. You follow me? So think of it from a job hunter's perspective. What's going to excite them more? It's kind of like in dating. I'm going to go back to that analogy. In dating, if one side or the other seems excited, it often excites the other one. And as they get more and more turned on to one another, it kind of feeds off of one another. Well, you'll get the more of the best of your person, the more excited you are on your interview. You'll get a better picture of someone at their best if you seem enthusiastic and passionate about what you're doing, what your team is doing, the successes, the milestones, the plans, what you can do to help someone advance. If they're a great performer, of course, you're not going to do that if they're a lazy bum or completely incompetent. Notice, I'm not talking about you promising things that you can't deliver. I'm talking with you about being excited, being enthusiastic, just like you want them to be, just like you want them to conduct themselves. You don't want to hire tired, burned out people who conduct themselves like has-beens, do you? And when you hear the phrase has-beens, I must in all honesty tell you, I've spoken to 24-year-old has-beens in much the same way as, well, I'm about to be 64, as much as I talk to 64-year-old people who act like has-beens, who sound tired, burned out, defeated, giving up. I know you don't want to hire those folks, but part of the reason that you're getting that impression is because that's the energy that you're giving off as well. So I want to really encourage you, whether you're an HR, a hiring manager, or small business owner trying to bring on talent. Remember, the job market right now is pretty darn good, and people are not staying out there looking for long periods of time, especially at staff levels. Now, for some very senior positions, that's not the case, as firms have ample choices amongst the baby boomer population. However, eventually, great talent winds up with multiple choices. And why should they choose you if you're not one that's going to make them feel excited about your job? Why should you think they're going to be enthusiastic about the work that you want them to do if you don't seem enthusiastic about it? So yes, this is about bringing back that love and feeling to your interviewing techniques. To make people feel as though it matters to you if they're the ones that they choose. If they're the one that you think can do the best job in your organization. So get over the hump, remind yourself that you don't like interviewing any more than they do, and you'll wind up getting your first choice, your first time. And by the way, once you find someone good, why do you have to interview another 15 people as a comparison? That person will often wind up going to work for someone else because even though you say you're interested, that's not the way you're acting. So that's my no BS hiring advice for this show. I also want to encourage you to come over to my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. I have many other videos and podcasts, and you can receive a complimentary subscription to my e-zine, which is called No BS Hiring Advice e-zine. I publish it every other week with advice for you as an HR professional, hiring manager, or small business owner to help you make even better staffing decisions. While you're there, as I said, lots of videos that are available to you, easy. You can find out about me and the work that I do, both for you and for job hunters, in case you fall into both categories. So come over to thebiggamehunter.us and go exploring. A few more things, if I may. First of all, if your firm is trying to hire someone now, I'd love to help you staff. And most of the work I do is in IT, HR positions, accounting and finance, but I also fill a lot of straight positions amongst the almost 1,200 I've filled in my career. So send me an email at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. Let's figure out a time to speak. I'd love to help your firm staff positions. And finally, if we're not already connected on LinkedIn, send me a connection request. The address is linkedin.com/IN/TheBigGameHunter. I accept connection requests from people worldwide, except if you're a third-party recruiter or in a country known for scams or spam. So this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'll be back next time with more no BS hiring advice. Hope you have a great day. Take care.